Top Gun Maverick is a blockbuster of all blockbusters in Hollywood. It is the absolute pinnacle of this sort of blockbuster formula that we have, but it throws back to a older generation of blockbusters, one that we haven't seen before, and right from the get-go in the film, you can really get just what the movie is all about. It is about paying respect to the older generation while introducing a newer generation that doesn't overshadow that older generation. They work together in tandem to make a great, great movie, and that works well with the creative team for Top Gun Maverick as well. It's directed by Joseph Kosinski and written by Christopher McQuarrie, Aaron Kruger, and Eric Warren Singer. Tom Cruise stars in it alongside Miles Teller, Monica Barbaro, Glenn Powell, Jennifer Connelly, John Hamm, and Ed Harris. The movie focuses on the character of Maverick, Pete Mitchell, obviously, but it's much, much more than that, and it goes deep into the emotions of the film, of the time period, of everything. It's a much deeper film that you can think of for a sequel to Top Gun. And so when you think about Top Gun, you think about, oh, it's this whole dude bro movie where there's guys playing volleyball in jorts on the beach that are all oiled up. And yes, you do get some nice oiled up shots, particularly of Glenn Powell in this one, but you also get this emotional weight to the whole proceeding of your mortality as a person and where you fit in life. Throughout the whole film, it's brought up that, Maverick doesn't want to advance in his career. He doesn't want to move up in the hierarchy of the Navy because he wants to continue flying. And if he moves up, he stops flying. And if he stops flying, he's going to die. Basically, that's what it is. His whole purpose in life is flying. It's test piloting either this new plane from the beginning of the film or it's flying elsewhere. And the whole film centers around that. The film takes these new characters in Hangman and Rooster and Fanboy and Bob and Phoenix and a bunch of other new characters with different call signs that aren't as cool as the original movie. You're not going to get much cooler than Iceman and Merlin, but they are great characters here. Monica Barbaro in particular, the writing, you'd think, oh, it's the only girl on a Top Gun team with a bunch of dudes. They're probably going to make a joke about, wow, oh, she's a girl, haha. Luckily, they don't do any of that. They don't even really mention it. It's just she's there, she kicks ass, she's as good as the guys are. She's on the team. So for the creative team, thank you for just letting it be. And the film, other than that, Jennifer Connelly plays Penny, who is a character that was sort of mentioned in the first movie, but she is not from the first movie. The only characters to return from Top Gun, the original, are Maverick and Iceman. And oh boy, with Iceman, it was a tearjerker. If you haven't seen Val Kilmer, if you haven't seen the documentary Kilmer about him, he had throat cancer, and that took away his ability to speak in the film. Luckily, there is a new technology that replicates his voice, but there are certain scenes where he speaks. There's a particular scene between him and Maverick that is absolutely tear-jerking. You will not leave the theater with dry eyes after seeing it if you're a fan of Val Kilmer. Even if you're not, it's hugely inspirational. Outside of that, the film uses almost all practical effects. It really wants to get that realism of jet combat, jet flight, everything. And there's little to no CGI in it. Tom Cruise really wanted that for the film. And it really, really adds to the overall feel of Top Gun Maverick, how it feels like an old school Hollywood blockbuster. It has the old school Hollywood blockbuster star. He's made a bunch of movies for Paramount. Like if this was the 30s, nobody would bat an eye. Tom Cruise is an action star for the current generation, for the old generation, the new one, the old one, who cares? He's great in this film. This film's action goes up against anybody else. In fact, with the over-the-top action that we get with Hollywood movies these days, it's refreshing to have a movie like this where it is just so it feels different. The opening scene feels different. Most of the time in Hollywood blockbusters these days, we have a car chase, we have a gunfight, we have superheroes beating the crap out of each other or whatever. But this one, you're in from the first 10 seconds. You hear the Top Gun theme, you see the jets coming off of the runway, and then you hear Highway to the Danger Zone. And it is just perfect in how it draws you in. It draws you in and it keeps you there the entire time. You are sucked in for the entirety of this movie, and you get little sprinkles of tension release and everything, but that third act, wow. That third act is utterly fantastic with how it just grips you and keeps you there. And it's a little bit like a roller coaster with like a false drop where you think, oh, that's it. Okay, cool. And then it goes back up again. And there's a scene in the movie that also focuses a little bit on that, where they're going in for a bombing run on this target, and they have to hit a climb at this insane amount of G-force, and it feels a lot like that as an audience. It's amazing how they did it from a structure standpoint on this film. It's amazing how this film works just so damn well. This film, like I said in the beginning, is the pinnacle of the blockbuster. It's really going to be hard to top this film from just a structure standpoint and emotional weight standpoint, performance, action, effects, editing, everything. Everything in this film is top-notch and nearly flawless. And I don't like giving out those, oh, it's 100 out of 100 a lot of the time, but this one is as close to flawless as you can get for an action movie like this. If the Academy didn't have their heads up their asses, I would nominate it for Best Picture, because just from an overall standpoint of just everything that went into this movie, it is nearly flawless. The only thing I can sort of complain about is that Miles Teller doesn't really hold up that emotional side as well as Tom Cruise or some of the other characters in the film do. Particularly Jennifer Connelly and her daughter in the movie. They're played up a lot for laughs at some points, but there's also this just undercurrent of, well, Maverick has broken her heart over and over again. She's probably going to do it again, and it's affecting her daughter, and it's just, the emotional side of the film is so much bigger than I thought it would be going into a sequel to Top Gun. Going into a sequel to Top Gun, this movie is emotionally weighty, and it just works. It just works. So if you're going to see Top Gun Maverick on May 27th in theaters, bring some tissues, get ready, get the popcorn, because go see it in the biggest possible theater you can with the blastingest sound. I saw it in Dolby Cinema. It was magnificent to hear the jets going and everything. It is a festival of film. It is a feast for your eyes, your ears, everything. If you go see it in 4D, go for it, because this is one action film that you will not regret seeing. It is almost perfect. It is an almost perfect film. If I'm going to give it a score, it's going to be like a 98 out of 100. Miles Teller drags it down, I guess, a little bit from that perfect slot. That's not to say he's bad, but somebody else probably could have been a little better here with the emotional scenes, particularly involving him and Maverick. That's it for this review of Top Gun Maverick. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and do all that fun YouTube stuff if you like seeing reviews like this before anybody else has them, because I get to see the movies before you do. So that'll do it from me to you for now. Thank you for watching, and go see Top Gun Maverick in theaters.